Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ready for Rome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Shelley Ruel, and I am the community manager here at Italia Pass. And I'm joined by my colleague, Loriane Filon. She's our Italia Pass Primo Italy Experience Specialist, and that means that she helps all of our Primo members book their itineraries and do a lot of planning. And we'll talk a little bit about what the Primo Pass is today as we go through our presentation. I've been living in Rome for over 20 years now, and we developed this presentation to help travelers to Rome get a little bit of insider tips before they come over. And hopefully it will give you some insights into local culture as well as some practical tips for traveling. In terms of the logistics of today's webinar, the way it'll work is that Loriane and I will give our presentation. It lasts right around a half an hour. And after that, we'll open up for live Q&A. There's a Q&A function at the lower part of your screen, and you'll be able to go into the Q&A chat, submit your questions, and we'll answer them live. And we'll have about 15 minutes to answer questions. And if there's any questions that we're not able to get to today, then I will answer those in writing over at our community. And I will give you all the links after we're done with our presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, I wanted to go for a moment into what is Italia Pass, because many of you may not know. A lot of you may have come to us today because you're Italia Rail customers. So Italia brands are Italia Rail, Italia Tours, Italia Drive, and Italia Hotels. It's a family of brands that since 1987 have been working with millions of tourists exploring Italy. And our CEO decided that he wanted to help all of our customers have their best trip to Italy ever. So he created the Italia Pass. And it's a membership program, and there's two types of membership. The basic membership is a free membership in our community, and that's where I'm the community manager, where you can ask any kind of travel questions and get practical information. And then there's also the premium membership, which is what we call Primo. And there's 3 tiers to that membership. And as we go along, you'll see kind of some of the benefits. As you purchase rail tickets, the regular $99 price goes down to $49 because you get a $50 credit on your rail tickets as part of Primo. And if you include Rail Aid, if you purchase Rail Aid with your tickets, then you can purchase Primo for $30. So there's quite a few benefits, and we'll be talking about those as we go through the presentation in case that's something that interests you. So what we'll be covering today is just a few basic points about Rome. First things first, arrival at FCO Fiumicino Airport. That's where most of you are probably going to arrive into the city, and how you get from the airport into the actual city, because it's outside the city center. Then we're going to talk a little bit about our Italia Pass Lounge, if that's something you're interested in, at Rome Termini Station. I'll give you some information about how to take public transport, and talk a little bit about restaurants, menus, some local customs, so that you can hit the ground running when you go out to eat and feel comfortable about what the local kind of customs are. We'll give you some information about how you can get a complimentary entry into the Colosseum and a $100 credit on a Rome or Vatican tour. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the most common tourist traps, how you can avoid them, some of my favorite local tips, and then we'll go into the live Q&A. So to start, I'm going to turn it over to Loriane, and she's going to tell you a little bit about transportation into the city.
Thank you, Shelley. Hello, everyone. So now that you've landed at FCO Airport, you do have a few options to get to the center of Rome. As you can see on the slide, they're all indicated in the terminal, so it should be quite easy. The first option is to reach Roma Termini, which is the main station in Rome, the main train station. And there are 2 types of trains that you can take. The first one is the Leonardo Express, which is a direct train to Termini Station, and it costs $16 on Italia Rail. And the second option is to take a more local train that'll get you to the smaller stations in Rome, in Trastevere and Ostiense, and it's $10 on Italia Rail. So that really depends on which area of Rome you're trying to get to, depending on your accommodations or anything else. You have those 2 options. Both trains are considered to be regional trains. So that's important, because if you book regional trains and it will show on your ticket, you do have to check in before boarding the train. So all of that is similar to how you check in for, a plane ticket. All the instructions on how to check in are sent to you in the email that will have your electronic ticket after you book on Italia Rail. Generally, I recommend to book them ahead of time, just because you want to have the choice of what time is best for you, especially during the high season, May to early October. You want to make sure there's enough space on the Leonardo Express, especially since tickets are time specific. I also recommend booking a time at least an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours after your landing time, and to not book any train tickets that are leaving from the main station in Rome. So not the airport, but the main station, within 3 hours of your arrival. So if you're planning to go, let's say, to Florence from the Termini station right after you land, plan for at least 3 hours in case there's luggage delays or, you know, anything with customs or any unforeseen kind of events that might delay you. Really quickly as well, if your train is a high-speed train while you're traveling in Italy, all of this will be on your ticket, so no need to panic. And you can also email us if you have questions you're not sure. That you can just board the train with and find your assigned seat. And as I mentioned, if it's a regional train, which concern both trains are coming out of FCO airport, you need to check in. But all of this is in your emails that you'll get with your tickets. So you read that as well on there. There are taxis that you can take outside the terminal if you don't want to take the train. They have a fixed rate of 55 euros, and other options include the shuttle bus, or you can book a private transfer with us that takes you straight to your accommodations in Rome. So that's instead of the train station, you get straight to your Airbnb or hotel, and you can book that on Italia Tours or through your dedicated Italy experience specialist like myself, if you're a Primo member with us. A lot of questions that I get is about renting a car when you're visiting Italy. If you know that you're only going to be exploring the main cities, I generally don't recommend it just because it's difficult to navigate the cities. They have very strict rules and regulations about traffic. But if you're visiting some of the more remote areas like Tuscany or anywhere else, you can rent a car. That's a great option. And you can do so on Italia Drive, which is our platform. And if you book on there, we give you a rebate of $10 after you're booking as a Primo member with us. A great other perk of being a member is that you have access to our lounge. The lounge is in Roma Termini train station, so the main train station in Rome and not the airport. We get some questions about that as well. If you have some free time before or after boarding a train and you're waiting for your hotel check-in time, for example, you can relax at the lounge. We have free Wi-Fi, espresso, refreshments, and free luggage storage, which is really, comes in really handy if you want to explore Rome a little bit. And this is only during opening hours. Our lounge hosts also can help you with your train tickets or any questions you have about your trip to Rome. All you need to do is book your complimentary visit beforehand. And now I'll hand it over to Shelly for some information on public transport within the city.
Okay, thanks. So our public transport here in Rome is called ATAC. And we have 3 types of public transport options. There are buses, there's a metro, which is the subway line. Metro is short for Metropolitana, so that's the underground. And it's simple because there's only 2 lines, A and B, and they only cross at one point. They only cross at Rome's Termini station, so it's very easy to navigate. And there are a few trams, which are above ground streetcars that run on tracks, a little bit less common. The tickets are relatively inexpensive compared to other large European cities. You're going to pay €1.50 per ticket, and it's a time-limited ticket. So you don't have to worry about zones of the city or anything like that. You buy your ticket, it's good for 100 minutes from the time that you first board any form of public transport and validate that ticket. On a bus, there are no one's going to check your ticket when you board the bus. You're just going to get on the bus with your ticket, and you're going to validate it. There's these little boxes inside the buses. You're going to stick your ticket in and it will spit it back out with it stamped at the time that you boarded. The only exception to the 100-minute rule is that you only get one ride on the metro system. So what that means is once you enter the metro, you're going to stick your ticket into the turnstile. There's a box on the turnstile. It'll spit it back out. It doesn't matter at what point in the 100 minutes you go into the metro station. You can have a transfer at Termini station, change A to B line. Once you exit, however, once you exit the subway station, then that ticket is no longer going to work for the subway. However, if you still have time left from the first time that you validated it, it's still good for up to 100 minutes on the transport system. A convenient way to purchase a ticket on the Metro, this is the tap and go system. So at the turnstile, if you don't want to purchase a ticket or you don't have a ticket, you can take out a contactless payment card. So that could be on your smartphone or a contactless payment credit or debit card. And you just tap it at the reader at the turnstile, and that counts as your ticket. It will take $150, it will charge $150 on whatever card you use. Now, it's important that you know that there's just one card for each rider. So you can't use the same card over again for two different people. Every single person's going to have their own payment system, their own contactless payment, because that is what there usually aren't inspectors on the Metro because you actually have to pass through the turnstile. So that kind of counts as being checked. However, if anyone were to ask, say, for example, you ride the Metro with this tap and go, and that's where you first enter. If then you want to ride the bus, then that's and you get an inspector checking your ticket, then you just show them your contactless payment method, and that counts as your ticket. There are unlimited ride passes for 24, 48, and 72 hours. I will give you information about that in our resources list at the end without having to go into too much detail here. It's not necessarily the most convenient option because probably a lot of you, especially now that it's getting to be later in the season and the temperatures are going down, Rome is such a walkable city that you probably won't need a ton of public transport rides. Now, as far as tickets go, there are machines inside the subway station. Tickets are called biglietto if you want to try a little bit of Italian, because if you don't go into the Metro station to purchase the ticket at a machine, then you're going to need to go into a tobacconist, which is called a tabaccheria. You'll know what it is because there's a sign above the door that has a T. So look for one of those little like smoke shop, tobacco shop. They have like little, you'll see the counter. They have lottery tickets, that kind of thing. Or at a newsstand. There's newsstands set up in kiosks throughout the city. So all you have to do is ask them for a biglietto. They'll know what you're talking about, and you can buy the tickets, a paper ticket that way. One bus route I do want to highlight for you is bus number 64. It's a very convenient route because it runs from the Central Termini station all the way across the historic center over to the Vatican. It was created specifically as a tourist route, I believe, during the last Jubilee. So it's very convenient. However, because it's so frequented by lots of visitors and tourists, it can also be a pickpocket hotspot. Now, I don't want to scare you or make you feel nervous about pickpockets, but you will find pickpockets in probably every large city in the world, but every large European city, certainly. I find it very easy to avoid pickpockets. I've been here 23 years. I've, knock on wood, never been pickpocketed because you just have to be aware of your belongings. So like if you have a bag, just wear it across your body, keep your hand on your bag. Men, if you have your wallet, put it like in your front pocket, keep your hand on your wallet. Just be aware of your surroundings because there's plenty of tourists who look distracted, and those are going to be the people who are targeted. So just be extra aware whenever you're in Termini station, especially, only because it's extremely crowded. If you're ever in any crowded environment, that's a place where pickpockets tend to target because it's really easy. If you're being jostled around, you won't feel something being kind of taken, and they're very skilled, unfortunately. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Now, let me transition over to some fun stuff about restaurants and menus and eating out, because I know you're going to want to enjoy all of our amazing Italian food here. You may hear that siren in the background. That's our European sirens here. So first things first, restaurants. We do eat a little bit later than what is typical, let's say in America or Canada. We eat lunch a little bit later, around 1 or 1:30 p.m. starting, and dinner usually starts around 8 or 8:30. The reason I tell you that is because if you're going to be making dinner reservations at a local place, you'll want to keep that in mind because a very local place locals won't go out to eat dinner, generally speaking, before 8 p.m. or lunch before 1. You can eat at restaurants before that time, but those are typically going to be the more touristy restaurants in the crowded historic center areas. Now, the reason I put check on this list, check in Italian is called il conto. And the reason I put that is because I wanted to let you know that locally, wait staff isn't going to actually just bring your check. A lot of times, for example, in the United States, when all the food has been delivered, the waiter or waitress might come by and say, okay, I'll take this, you know, they'll leave your check and then say, I'll get this for you whenever you're ready. That won't happen here. And the reason is culturally, going out to eat is a time to spend with family and friends, and it's generally considered to be kind of disrespectful or like inconsiderate to kind of put the check down before you ask for it, because the staff there doesn't want you to feel like they're pushing you out. They want you to feel like you've got that table for as long as you want. So unless the restaurant has a specific time schedule, sometimes very popular restaurants will tell you, look, you have this table for X amount of time. That's not very typical though. So that means if you're waiting for the check, you're going to be waiting a while because they won't bring it, generally speaking, they won't bring it automatically. So you're going to have to ask for the conto or the check. A lot of times in restaurants, they'll speak enough English to understand basic terms like that. So I just wanted to let you know so you don't think, oh my gosh, these waiters and waitresses here are not paying attention to us. They haven't brought us our check yet. Tipping is a big topic that a lot of people ask me about. It is true that you do not need to tip here in Rome. Wait staff is paid a regular salary, so they do not work for tips. Do not be deceived or pressured into leaving a tip. Local restaurants will not do that with you, but some touristy places, knowing that in the United States, for example, we leave tips, don't let them kind of pressure you into thinking you need to leave one here. I don't really know many people here who do leave tips. The most I see when I go out with friends is if we've had great service, we may leave a courtesy like €1 per person, but it's certainly not necessary and it's not expected. So don't feel uncomfortable about not leaving a tip because that is our local custom here. Quickly want to go through the menus here because there are two types of restaurant. We have the ristorante, but then there's also a pizzeria. So a pizzeria is a sit-down place where you're going to eat pizza, and you may not see pasta on the menu in a pizzeria. Whereas in a restaurant, you may see pizza, but you will definitely see pasta. So if you're counting on getting pizza and you don't see it in a ristorante, that's probably why. So the menu will have antipasto, which is appetizers. It may have it will have primo and may have also secondo. Generally, this is the menu you're going to find. You don't have to order everything. You can order from whatever section you want. So don't worry that you have to order all the courses. In a pizzeria, we do here in Rome have individual pizzas. Everyone gets their own. It's a thin crust and you cut it yourself. And I have their toppings. And the reason I put toppings is because you don't order the toppings that you want, like you might in the United States. The pizzas are going to be pre-formed with toppings you're going to read on the menu. The margherita is a cheese pizza, and then you might see like a different kind of pizza, boscaiola, and it has, you know, certain ingredients. Read the ingredients and find the one that sounds best to you. And the reason I put fritti and wrote supplì in parentheses, so you see those little in the picture there, that's the supplì. It's a Roman fried rice ball. It's a local specialty, and that's one of the appetizers at a pizza restaurant. It is rice with tomato meat sauce, and they put mozzarella in the middle, and then they bread it, and then they deep fry it. So I encourage you all to try that because it's only in Rome. And you can also get it as street food. Now, if you want to get it as street food, you're going to go to a place called Pizza al Taglio, which you see listed there on the bullet point. Pizza al Taglio is cut, literally means cut pizza. And you're going to see these shops as you're walking around the city. Pizza is behind a glass counter. If you want to order that pizza, street food pizza, then you just indicate which pizza flavor you want. They're going to kind of indicate with their hand the amount. And then you'll tell them where to cut it. They're going to put it on a scale and weigh it. And that's how you're going to determine the price. Generally speaking, it's square pizza. So they're going to cut it into squares for you. And generally speaking, it's between maybe 5 and 10 euros per person. It depends on what particular pizza that you're getting. So that's a great street food option. You can take it away just holding it and walk and eat it, or you can get it put in a box. And some Pizza al Taglio have tables. And in the resource list I'm going to provide you, I'm going to tell you my favorite place to get Pizza al Taglio downtown. Last but not least, let's talk about coffee because you're coming to the capital of espresso. Rome and Naples are kind of both up there for their espresso. But you should definitely try, if you like coffee, go out to the Il Bar is what it's called, the coffee bar. You're going to pay first at the register, and then you're going to go over to the coffee counter and order directly with the barista. Cafe means espresso. So if you're thinking in your mind, oh, I know cafe means coffee, it's not going to be an American coffee. Here, if I say I want a cafe, they understand that I want an espresso coffee. In the summer, an amazing thing to try is cafe freddo or cafe shakerato. We're coming to the end of the summer, so as long as it's still pretty hot out, you can get that. So if you're going to be here, within the next month or so, that might be something you want to try. And as to where to get the best espresso, I have the names of a couple of places that are famous as known as like the best espresso in Rome, and I'm going to have that on your resource list for you at the end. Now back to my colleague to tell you about how to get into a couple of the sites.
Great. So now for the great activities you're going to be doing in Rome. So Primo members do get a free Colosseum Skip the Line ticket. So it's a $22 value. It gives you access to the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and Palatine Hill, all three of these landmarks. And we do also offer guided tours of the Vatican, the Colosseum, to which we can credit your free entrance ticket as a Primo member, as well as walking tours of the rest of Rome that include, the most famous landmarks like Piazza Navona, the Spanish Steps, the Pantheon, and Trevi Fountain. I recommend taking a look at our Rome tour pass if you're spending over 2 full days in Rome. It includes all of these tours, so a great Vatican tour, a Colosseum tour, and a walking tour. And if you choose one of these tours, our members get $100 credit to spend on their first tour booking, and then 10% on any subsequent tours, which is great. You can book these experiences directly on italiatours.com, or you can always email us if you have any questions or you need help booking these tours. We're here for that. I highly recommend booking these ahead of time, especially the Vatican, which gets booked up very fast. We also get frequent questions about the dress code. So as a general rule, if you're going to visit the Vatican or any of the main basilicas and duomos, you need to wear clothes that will cover your shoulders and your knees. That's especially true for the Vatican. You also won't be able to bring large backpacks, strollers, or anything that's, oversized into the Vatican Colosseum. So a crossbody bag is usually kind of the best option, or something smaller, something that's more convenient in that situation. And now I'll leave it to Shelly to give you more local tips.
Okay, let's talk about a few ways you can avoid some of the most common tourist traps and be more like a local when you're here in Rome. So restaurants, you're going to maybe downtown in the really busy areas, you're going to see maybe menus that have pictures on them. And that is obviously a dead giveaway that it's a more touristy place, because if you can imagine, a Roman local does not need a picture on the menu to know what the dishes are. You might also see promoters, what I call promoters, out in front of the restaurant, kind of trying to usher people inside. They'll have a menu in their hand generally and trying to kind of get you to come inside their restaurant. Now, this isn't you're not necessarily going to have a terrible meal or be like super ripped off, but I just want to make you aware of this because these are restaurants that are really geared towards tourists, whereas oftentimes just a block or two away, you can easily find a more local place, and you'll probably have a more authentic meal in a place like that. And we'll have a couple of recommendations in the resources that I provide. Another thing, okay, so you see this photo here in the top middle. I took this photo myself in Trastevere many years ago. I thought it was so funny because this guy dressed up as a gladiator with his little suitcase. It's just such a weird juxtaposition. You got this modern car and a gladiator walking across the road. He was coming off of his time at the Colosseum, I think, because a lot of these people will dress up as gladiators in front of the Colosseum, and they'll say, do you want to take a picture? And just so that you know, like, that's their livelihood, they're going to charge you for that. So if you do want a picture with them, no problem, but just make sure that you negotiate the price in advance, because you don't want any unpleasant surprises at the end or feel uncomfortable when they're like demanding some price that you had no idea was going to be part of the bargain. Roses, or I put here in quotes, gifts. So something I've heard from visitors is that you'll see a lot of these gentlemen downtown with these big, like rose, I can't even think in English anymore, just bunches of roses, and they'll be offering them like, here's a gift for you. And of course, it's not a gift. They're trying to make money. So again, if you want to purchase the rose, that's fine, but just make sure that you are aware of how much they're going to charge before you take that rose into your hand. And also don't feel uncomfortable if you just pass them by. They have plenty of other people that they can try to sell their roses to. Now, gelato, I hope you all are going to try our amazing gelato here. A couple things that are real obvious tip-offs of not very authentic gelato. This photo shows gelato piling up over the tub. That's not really the most authentic gelato because it's been whipped with lots of extra air to kind of make it look showy and impressive. But any kind of gelato worth their salt is never going to present you with gelato that looks like this. In fact, some gelateria are going to have the gelato where you can't even see it. It's going to be in these tubs that have metal tops. So if you just see a list of flavors, but you don't actually see the gelato, that's great. That's a really authentic place. Another tip off is overly bright colors. No gelato that's natural is ever going to be neon colored. I can promise you that. So just keep an eye out. You're going to see these places downtown, but there's plenty of other places that are more authentic and you can enjoy the gelato there. And now a few of my local tips to wrap up our presentation here with the local tips. The first thing is we have thousands of water fountains around the city, and you see in this picture that they just run continuously. The water comes out from deep underground springs. It comes out really cold, and it's the perfect way to refill a reusable water bottle. So you don't need to worry about buying water bottles when you're downtown. And in our resources list, I'm going to provide you with a smartphone app that shows you where all these fountains are. So wherever you are walking around downtown, you can just go there and see where your next water refill is going to come from. A super local tip, there's a little hole on the top of that spigot. And if you put your thumb and plug the water coming out on the bottom, it's going to shoot out that hole on the top and it's going to make like a drinking fountain. So if you want to really be local and drink directly from the fountain, then you can just plug the bottom and drink from the water that shoots out the top. But be careful you don't spray anyone because it sometimes makes a really big arch. And if anyone's walking by and you're not really quick, you might give somebody some water spray there. Those are called nazzoni, by the way, big noses, because of, I guess, the spigot, the way that looks. My next tip is to check out Villa Borghese if you want a quiet green space, some shade trees, a really beautiful local park. It's not very touristy. I don't often see a lot of tourists there. You can rent a Richaud bike. There are these bikes. There's a picture in the resources list I'm going to give you. There are these pedal bikes. They can fit up to 4 people. Some of the 4-seaters have 2, like a seat in front and a seat in back. And you can ride all around the park. It's a very big park, and you rent those by the hour. You can also take a rowboat out on the lake, and that's a nice fun thing to do as well. Last but not least, we have a tradition here called the aperitivo that you may have heard about. You see that drink in the photo, the orange drink. It's called an Aperol Spritz. It's become very popular. Even internationally, you see it a lot when there's photos of Italy. You'll see people with these Aperol Spritz. That's a very famous aperitivo drink. The aperitivo is a before dinner tradition. Starts around 6:30 generally. And you'll go out for a drink. It could be with alcohol or without. And it often comes with snacks. Sometimes it will be as simple if it's like at a bar. You can go to any coffee bar around 6:30 before dinner generally, and you can get an aperitivo. You can order a prosecco. They may just give you peanuts and potato chips. But if you go to a place like Meccanismo, which is in the picture here, I really like it there because they have this huge aperitivo. It's very abundant. It's like 10 euros. You could basically make dinner out of it. And that's a fun local tradition to try. And I'll have all the info for where these places are in the resource list that we're going to send you to at the end. Okay, I'm going to pass it back over to Lorian to tell you about a really unique experience we offer our members.
Great. So, sort of our most, as you said, unique benefit is this access to the Borgia Gallery. So this is one of the only places in the city of Rome where you can access the original ancient Roman street level. So it's underground, and during the summer month, it's kind of refreshing sight. It's very, it's a little bit more cool under there. Um, during your visit, you'll hear about the history of the Borgia family, and you'll get also kind of a unique look into the Roman Renaissance. And you'll also get a wine tasting and an aperitivo, which Shelley just mentioned is a really great way to experience the local food culture in Rome. And this is led by our expert sommelier. So as you can see on the slide, our members are $99 members, and our Primo members in general get access to this great benefit. And if you want to bring guests, we just recently have launched a Rome Companion Pass that's $45 per person for each person that you want to join you at the gallery. And you also get access to the lounge that I mentioned earlier in Roma Termini, and you get the free Colosseum ticket of a $22 value. So that's if you're interested in these benefits specifically. And that is also, if you have any questions on the Borgia Gallery, you can also let us know, of course, in the community, or email us, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, great. So yeah, so a lot of you are probably wondering, am I going to get a recording? This was a lot of information. Yes, I'm going to. So it's here in Rome, it's 6:30 p.m. So I don't always get it out on Friday. It's my Friday evening time. By tomorrow, though, you will check your email. You'll find an email from us that will have a link to the resource list that I was referring to throughout the presentation. We're going to do a recap of the Q&A that's just coming now. And I will send you a link to a recording of this presentation if you want to go back and see some things again, or you missed something and want to get that information. You can also go directly to the community. Our community is at italiapass.com. Just click community on the top. That's the easiest way to get there. On the left sidebar, you're going to find Ready for Rome Orientation. It's under Italy Travel Planning. And that's where I catalog everything I talk about here. If you want to go you can have a sneak peek already at the resource link, because that doesn't change. I just add to it. All right, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And here we are, Lorianne and I, to answer your questions. I see that we have 5 questions already in the Q&A. So we'll dive right in. We're going to go up to 15 minutes and get through as many as we can. I'll let you start, Lorianne, since this was one on your slide.
Sure. So does the €55 taxi flat rate include all passengers? Yes. So it's per taxi. So it's just as long as, I think it's probably limited to 2 passengers for the smaller taxis. This is per taxi. So for everyone.
Okay, the next question from Leonard says, does the no tipping policy apply not just for Rome, but for other Italian cities? Yes, that's a great question, Leonard. It applies across Italy. It's a typical thing throughout Italy at all the restaurants. So you can always just leave like €1 per person if you feel like it, or nothing at all. It's up to you.
Perfect. So for the rail tickets purchased online, is there a need to validate them before boarding? So as I mentioned before, and maybe you missed that if you joined later on, we have 2 types of trains in Italy. There's the high-speed trains that have assigned seating, and this will be written on your ticket, written on your email when you get the tickets. Those you don't need to check in for. So the high-speed train tickets, you board the train, you sit down on your assigned seat, and you show your ticket on when they ask you to show it on board. For the regional tickets that link the smaller towns, often it's within Tuscany, or it's not linking the main cities. Those regional tickets don't have assigned seating, so you board the train and you choose your seat, and you do have to check in online before you board the train. And all of that information is in your email where you get the tickets. You'll get a link to check in, and everything will be explained. It's very easy. So no worries about that. And if you have questions, you can always email us as well.
Okay, great. I noticed a couple of you have clicked on raise hand. So I just wanted to let you know we're using the Q&A box. We don't do the raise hand only because we don't have access to see everybody and to let you come out of mute and be on video. So if you do have a question, just go ahead and type it into that Q&A function. So Greg asks, are electric bikes a good option for getting around? Sure. Yeah. If you feel, well, here's the thing. If you feel confident riding a bike, then okay, yes, it could be a really good option for you. However, keep in mind that Rome is a very chaotic city. A lot of the roads are cobblestone, lots of traffic. The rental electric bikes that you're going to find, because they're with the companies that have like the electric scooters too. I can't, is that what they call them? The scooters that
The
not the
Segways?
not the Vespa, but like the what they're called monopattini, the one where you just stand on the platform. Are those called
Yeah,
scooters too?
they're
I'm like,
Segways, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, they're not exactly the Segway brand, but like, yeah, they're like they have those two
Oh,
electric ones
yeah.
too that you can rent with a smartphone app. And I have a link to that company in the resource list. They don't come with helmets though. It's not like the helmet comes with the rental bike. So it's just, I would just say be real careful because it's pretty tricky riding a bike in this traffic around here, and you can't ride on the sidewalk. Sometimes people do, but riding on the sidewalk is highly not recommended because there's a lot of people on the sidewalks and it's just going to make your life even more complicated. So are they a good option? It depends on you and what you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable trying, give it a try and see how it goes. Maybe you can go into a smaller area where it's not there's not so much traffic and enjoy the historic center that way.
Does the Vatican tour include St. Peter's Basilica, and are you able to skip the line? So some we have Vatican tours that do include the St. like St. Peter's Basilica. They're usually the longer tours, so 3 hours to 4 hours. And we have shorter tours that don't. All of them are skip the line. The only thing that you're not skipping is the line to pass security, which is very important to know as everyone goes through security, no matter what kind of ticket you have. That's important to know. So I hope that answers your question.
The limited mobility, what do you recommend for people with limited mobility for tours?
I've heard, so depends. We have shorter tours that are walking tours. If you're able to, we can, accommodate as much as possible. Otherwise, I've heard that some great things about the golf cart type of tours in Rome. A lot of clients have mentioned them. We don't have them, but I recommend taking a look online. Those can be a really good option.
Can you rent wheelchairs? Greg asks. That's a great question that we've never had
You
before in our
can.
webinar. Oh,
You
perfect.
can, yes.
Tablet.
Not
Great.
with us, not with us, but there's a lot of great companies, and we can give you references of companies that our clients have used before. Yes, you definitely can.
Wonderful. Okay. Again, what are the prices for Primo members? You want to take that one? So
Yes,
I tend to get them mixed up.
sure, no problem. So we have 3 tiers of Primo membership. The first tier, if you decide to buy the Primo membership before you buy anything else, which you're not going to be penalized for, it's just we've adjusted based on what you've already purchased with us. So if you haven't purchased anything, the set price is $99 and you get all these benefits we talked about. There's another one, if you've already purchased $100 worth of rail tickets, but you haven't purchased Rail Aid, which is sort of our built-in protection for your rail tickets. If you have your $100 worth of rail tickets but no Rail Aid, it's $49. And if you have $100 worth of rail ticket and Rail Aid, it's $39, if I'm not mistaken. But all of this is basically prompted to you when you buy the tickets and the type of tickets that you buy, so you don't have to worry about the pricing. And all of them are equal in the amount that you would be paying. So,
Okay. When you were talking, I don't know if this was for everybody, but it stopped for a minute. So just so that everybody knows, what I'm going to do is I will also recap that in the written Q&A. So don't worry if you didn't catch it for whatever reason, I'm going to recap it in written Q&A. Sometimes the Wi-Fi here in Rome in my house might not be the greatest.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's could be me
yeah.
too.
Someone's asking about a product called the Omnia card. That's not a product that we offer, so I can't address that question. I don't really know. Chris is asking about the availability of gluten-free food at restaurants and pizzerias. That's a great question that we tackled with another member last time with another attendee. So I have a great list for you in our resources. I list out vegetarian places and some gluten-free restaurants and also vegan. So we covered kind of those 3 bases. The gluten-free options, since those are the ones you're asking about, are ones that have been approved by Italy's kind of gluten-free association, so that to make extra sure that there's going to be no contamination from other foods in the kitchen.
What is the best place to buy a SIM card for phones and money exchange? SIM card. So funnily enough, as a member with us, you get a SIM card that you can use all over Europe. You have 2 gigabytes of data. So that's just another benefit that you get. Otherwise, if you're just asking in general, I can't give you an exact, brand to buy or anything, but they're pretty easy to find. And money exchange, I think, Shelly, you tackled that a little bit in other webinars. Do you want to take this one to exchange money? Oh, I don't know if I'm the one cutting off or if you can hear me.
Yeah, okay, you're back now. I don't know why today it's a little choppy.
Yes.
So, but again, I'm going to recap all these questions. We're just answering them live, but they're going to be written out for you as well. Gaetano is asking, is a reservation required for supper for most local restaurants? It really depends on the restaurant. Some restaurants won't accept reservations. So it really depends from restaurant to restaurant. I would say look online and see what restaurants you're interested in, and then you can sometimes book directly online, or it'll say that they don't accept reservations.
Have we tackled the question right before this? When do I receive an email with my train tickets that were purchased in March? In March, sorry, I arrive in Rome next Friday. Did we answer this one?
Yeah, I think
so. It was right before.
no, we haven't tackled that one, but the
Perfect.
email should be a confirmation immediately, I would imagine.
Yeah, you should get your tickets should already have been issued. If you purchase them with Italia Rail, you can email info@italiarail.com and they'll help you because it's pretty urgent. They'll help you get you your tickets. Okay.
Okay. Is there a benefit to buying train tickets in advance?
Oh, I think there was one before the vans to take 4 people and luggage
Oh,
to the
okay.
hotel.
Oh, you want to tackle that one? Okay.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Yes, there are vans. We can arrange them for you. And they are up to 7 people. You just have to reach out to us and we'll arrange for a transfer. There are benefits to buying train tickets in advance. Yes, especially during high season, always purchase them in advance whenever you're sure of your dates because they do run out, especially for high-speed trains. If you want to get the class and the seats that you want, you definitely have to book them ahead of time. Can you get tax refunds?
Okay, can you get sales tax refunds when you leave Italy? Yes, that's possible. I can put some information about that in the resource list. I don't have any on that right now, but I will write that out for you. But it is possible. A friend of mine did that recently when she came to visit. I'll tackle this next one too, asking if there's lounges in train terminals in other cities. So currently ItaliaPass only has a lounge in Rome Termini. So that's why the Rome Companion Pass is designed to give you access to the lounge here in Rome.
There are lounges.
All right, I think we have time for just a couple more questions.
Member, sorry, I think there's a delay, so we cut each other off.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, there are lounges. If you're a specific type of, if you have a specific type of ticket, the executive tickets, there are Freccia Rossa and Freccia lounges. I think we're having some connection issues here, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think we're having some trouble with the Wi-Fi today. So I think the best thing for us to do, given the fact that I don't want you guys to be, having to listen to answers that aren't coming through, what I'm going to do is all these questions that you've typed in, I've got them saved, so don't worry. I'm going to go through them one by one and I'm going to answer them online. So you're going to get a link to all these questions answered individually by me in the community. It will be no later than tomorrow, so it's not going to be immediate, but I will tackle them by tomorrow. So rest assured that you'll get all the answers. And with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you over on the community.
Yes, happy travels. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.